So anyways, so I set up a meetup group for recruiting in HR here in Hong Kong, and I find it pretty funny because, you know, you would think that a lot of people are interested in career hacking or trying to get a job, or even the function of AR. And I've done a little bit of promotion. I guess I'm gonna need to do a bit more, but at the end of the day, it further proves my point that the city of 8 million people, there isn't a single meetup group that's focused on hiring, recruiting, HR. People aren't focused on that as a business, and it just further proves my point that people are disassociated from actually doing that which is important for them. And with just a little bit of effort, people can really do better for themselves. All you got to do, if you're already competent, you already have skills, you already have some kind of talents, all you got to do is remain active and you can find more jobs. But the funny thing is, at the end of the day, people, for some reason, there's many reasons, but they're unwilling to do it. And it's so funny because all it takes is a little bit of effort, and that's further further confirms my theory that people need help in this, because they have some kind of disassociation from trying to better themselves. And I think there's a lot of maybe emotional pain. It's just like sales, right? To get that rejection, and I think it's getting worse and worse, with all these chat bots and recruiting bots, automated emails. People know they're not talking to human beings now, and you would think that there would be more input, but now there's actually less people getting involved because they know it's becoming more and more impersonal. And wow, all the HR and the recruiters, they're going to say, wow, we have greater throughput, and as an individual I have greater efficiency. But guess what? People are becoming disenchanted, and they're giving up more. And that's why I'm getting focused more on this career hacking portion for people's careers, because if there's no need to speak to robots, it's actually almost rude, right? Like, if you're a good candidate, it just basically emotionally hurts that you speak to a robot, because that that's not another human being on the other side. And we all know that feeling. And I've run a few chat bots with some of my businesses, and immediately people sniff it out. If they find that the language is too awkward, they go, hey, just wait a second, are you a bot? And then they literally won't buy from you, even if you have a great service, but because you're trying to make scale your business through efficiency. And so what a lot of businesses are talking about with recruiting branding and company branding for hiring, if you're using a bot, like, you're gonna maybe lose some kind of people who are feeling or empathy based, because they're going to look at that and they're going to look at basic as a disrespect, and they're not going to look at it as a function of efficiency for a business, right? Like, oh, at least somebody gets back to me. Well, it's like, no, it's like, well, you're using a robot. So, a lot of people, I think that they would really benefit themselves from using our service to actually apply for jobs. You swipe your card, and you pay a fee, right, per month, but that basically, this feature will work while you're sleeping 24 hours a day, and steadily find you new opportunities, which you wouldn't be normally doing because you're focused on your job. And I think that's what it should be. I think people should be focusing on their jobs, being loyal to their employers, doing the best job that they can, and with a little bit of like I would basically call it steroids, because nobody has enough time during the day. You have someone working for you. It's like almost like a second it's like an assistant, and who wouldn't want that? And every CEO would say, oh, I couldn't do anything without my assistant, and they would say it's the most valuable person. You got to treat yourself like a CEO. You got to treat yourself like a director. You got to direct your life. You got to become more competent at what you do, and you got to delegate the things that are monotonous, and actually at the end of the day they hurt you emotionally. You got to delegate that down to somebody else, and you're not going to find anybody competent because we're specialized in what we do. So you should really take a look at our services, opportunity services, and because the world's just getting more impersonal. Less people are interested in you as a person. Basically, it's all numbers at the end of the day. But guess what? We're still dealing with human beings. So this hiring process, I've heard from a lot of people, it's almost like a sales pitch because they're trying to pitch their own service or their own recruiting platform. Blah blah blah. They all say it's broken. Well, it's not necessarily broken. It's just that there's not enough time. No one can focus on the individual anymore because everything has been scaled. There's a factor of efficiency being improved, but the factor of efficiency of improvement is only is regarded to those people who are involved in the system. So I've heard some things in the loop that there's basically 500 million resumes available online. 500 million. I mean, of individuals who are connected to the internet. That's so 500 million. So divided by 7. So basically, it's been a long day. But basically, there's a lot of professionals online, and those resumes, they're outdated a lot of the time, and they don't even outline really the true competencies. If you have a certain amount of years of experience, that has nothing to do with your actual ability. I know people who've been doing a certain job and they're still incompetent. Tell me these, and people go to jobs as a newcomer and they look at the seniors in the business and they just shake their heads after a few months and they realize that these people have been working in these businesses for 20 years and they're completely incompetent. But if they were to write a resume, they would say, oh, 20 years experience. But guess what? They're not a value hire. They're complete rubbish. And whereas a person who's got a certain kind of personality trait or specific abilities to a certain job, they're an excellent hire, and they may only have months of experience, right? So in some way hiring is broken, but I think it all comes from the hubris of, and actually the laziness of recruiters, right? Recruiters, HR, because if they can point at a number, it gives them justification for their decisions because they themselves are incompetent to make those hiring decisions, and so they have to supplant that that responsibility to a number. But no one's going to tell you that because they're just much too proud to claim that they are incompetent themselves in that actual specific, in that specialization. When of course their only function is hiring. They're not experienced in what it takes to be an engineer, what it takes to be a surgeon, what it takes to be a salesman, what it takes to be a manager. Their only function is trying to sift out. They're basically professional sifters. But at the end of the day, the science also proves that computers are better sifters than these professional recruiters. So the responsibility of HR recruiters got to completely change, and that's why we're coming out with this new service. And I've been running what would traditionally be called a job board, but we call it a job app, of course. We're on Apple, on the Apple Store, and we're also on the Google Play Store, and we also have a web app. And we got millions and millions of jobs. We have hundreds of thousands of job applications, and we looked at the language that people use. We've looked at the language of different people's competencies. we've been able to infer through some specialized psychometric analysis of language and things that we're slowly starting to tie things. Now, we're a small operation. Like bigger businesses like Monster and whatnot can say that they can do it better, and of course, I mean they got billions behind them, and they're they're cash cows. And we're needing to hire a whole army of, well, not a whole army. Well, we got to start off small, but we got to hire data entry employees as well. So we are growing, and we have a lot of things that we need to work on as an app. But at the end of the day, it's just another job app, right? So that's why I see the world going in a different direction, and it's the function of AR that is wrong, because the AR is a delegated process, but what the failure is it's a delegated process. It's not actually I think it's wrong in principle. It's basically it's a whole global idea of things within an organization. So for example, if you have a poor manager, you'll have poor HR. If you have poor HR, you'll have a poor recruiter. If you have a poor recruiter, they'll be doing bad hires, and thus when you're trying to grow your business, you'll actually be slowing it down. We all know that the first 10 employees in a business are usually the ones that provide value. Thereafter, it's basically, everyone's a laggard. Businesses become less efficient as they grow, and anyone who's an engineer or a programmer knows this, that like the output of one specific individual equals the output of 100 is because they have a higher competency, and their thinking passes the threshold of just process making, of just order taking and doing what is required. You have to basically transcend that which is required of a business. So that's why we're coming out with this new product. I'll be doing a lecture basically every Friday, and I'll be inviting people in Hong Kong to come attend this meeting. Basically, it'll be a lecture and a sales pitch for why companies should think about implementing this process. It's a bolt on to the business. It's not anything that needs to supplant anybody or remove people. It's not about that. It's about creating clarity